1. Mirror their energy. People don't naturally trust who are identical to them. They trust people who feel familiar. That's why the most influential people don't dominate conversations. They synchronize with them. If someone speaks calmly, slow your pace. If they're direct, be direct. Not by copying every movement. People notice imitation. They rarely notice genuine synchronization. Psychologists call this the chameleon effect. When someone unconsciously feels, this person gets me, their psychological defenses begin to lower. And that's when influence becomes possible. But rapport alone doesn't give you control. The next principle changes who controls the pace of every conversation. 2. Master strategic silence. Here's something most people can't tolerate. Silence. The second a conversation becomes quiet, they rush to explain, justify, or reveal more than they planned. Think about your last uncomfortable silence. Who spoke first? Exactly. After asking an important question, say nothing. Wait, your silence creates psychological pressure, and the human brain naturally wants to release that pressure. People begin filling the empty space, often with information they never intended to share. The person who controls the silence usually controls the direction of the conversation. But information alone isn't enough. Real influence begins when someone starts investing in you. 3. Make them invest. This sounds completely backward. Doing everything for people doesn't always make them value you. Helping feels good. Investing creates attachment. Ask for a small opinion, a tiny favor, a simple recommendation. Here's why it works. Your brain dislikes inconsistency. Once you've invested in someone, even in a small way, your mind starts searching for reasons that investment was worthwhile. Psychologists call this the Ben Franklin effect. Strange, isn't it? Sometimes asking for a small favor builds stronger relationships than doing 10 favors yourself. But every investment starts with something even smaller. One simple word. Yes. 4. Start with small yeses. Nobody likes being pressured, but almost everyone likes being consistent. That's why successful negotiators rarely ask for the biggest commitment first. They start with something effortless. A small agreement, an easy question, a tiny request. Once someone says yes, their brain naturally wants future actions. To stay consistent with that first decision, psychologists know this is the foot in the door technique. Influence rarely happens all at once. It happens one small decision at a time. And once someone is open, there's one thing they crave more than advice: understanding. 5. Name their emotion. Most people try to change opinions. The smartest people identify emotions before offering advice. Pause. Then say something like, "It sounds like you're frustrated. It seems like you're worried. I can see why that bothered you." Here's the psychology. When people feel understood, their emotional defenses begin to relax. Only then does logic have room to enter. Have you noticed? Arguments usually end not when someone hears better facts, but when they finally feel heard. And that leads to the most powerful principle of all, one that almost nobody is willing to practice. 6. Be willing to walk away. Here's the irony. The people with the greatest influence are usually the ones who don't desperately need it. Neediness leaks through your voice, your body language, your decisions. People can feel it. Confidence is different. Confidence says, "I'd like this outcome, but I don't need it." Whether it's business, friendships, or relationships, the person who can respectfully walk away often holds the strongest position, not because they're manipulating others, because they're no longer controlled by the fear of losing approval. And that's the biggest lesson in this video. Real influence isn't controlling someone else's mind. It's becoming someone who isn't controlled by their own emotions if you want to unlock that level of confidence. The video on your screen will show you how your mindset quietly shapes every decision you make. I'll see you there. Bye.